statement, unless it's not. Alright, we're looking down on things, and see, first of all, people with the 5 colors of magic on the back of their sleeves, they could be playing anything. But people with browns, now, do we have a rule? Are those brown or black sleeves because of the glare? That is black with the glare, but that's matte. The matte finish instead of the gloss finish.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's a tough one too.
Tricky.
No, see, it's not like you know, like when you're playing and your opponent presents like anime, like reflective anime sleeves, the type where you know for sure that if they cut their deck, they can hold the deck above and get the reflection of whatever the bottom card of that half is. Those types of people, dude, they're playing white bordered forest. They're playing a black bordered ice age beat up, another forest, and they're just casting like, I don't know, Pixie Queen. Alright, looks like we're getting some deck lists here, so we're going to have some insight, but it looks like there's some blue cards on the left, so it looks like Conor's probably...
Intuition.
Yeah, so blue cards on... It looks like blue cards on the left, so we know that at least one good deck.
Okay, so Conor Brown on the left, Goblin, Painter.
Yeah, the Welder, Painter Servant, Grindstone, yep. Pretty straightforward. We haven't seen a lot of this deck yet today, but it's a strong deck.
None of this deck, except part of the Battle of Wits deck.
And on the right, we have the Rug, Natural Order strategy. Yeah. Yeah,
cool.
So two good fundamental decks, both with enough blue cards to be considered good decks. And interestingly, Napper with only 3 mental missteps, and Conor has the mental missteps and Force Wills maxed out. So looks like Conor won the die roll and is immediately leading with Volcanic. I always wonder in matches like this if how much information the players have about their opponents, because like Legacy is a format where it's so good to have the scouting report.
So he leads with the Goblin Welder.
And this is a big threat for anybody who's playing Force of Will. Now, fortunately, though, Napper does have a variety of alternative answers like Lightning Bolt. And this is a Welder deck that, while the Welder is quite strong, usually doesn't do anything with the Welder until around turn 3 or so. Now, the point of Brown's deck is obviously to assemble the combination of Painter, Servant, Grindstone, letting him mill Napper in one hit. Josh Napper, on the other hand, the point of his deck is to get Progenitus and kill in 2 hits. Legacy is not exactly a format where people are playing nicely.
Not at all, yeah.
Green Sun Zenith for 0.
Gets mental misstepped from Conor.
Slowing him down, as he would have gone and got a Dryad Arbor.
That's about one of the best plays you can make with Green Sun Zenith in Legacy right now. Do it for 0 and grab a Dryad Arbor.
Absolutely.
It telegraphs exactly what kind of deck you're playing.
But it's a good opening, though.
Absolutely, yeah.
Speeds you up quite a bit, because so often you'd love to have a Land of Elves, but you would only ever want it on the first turn. And that's the beauty of Green Sun Zenith. It can be a Land of Elf on the very first turn.
Right.
Any other turn of the game, it's something
else. Yeah.
Usually turn reverse, but something else.
So, Intuition from Conor, off of an Ancient Tomb and a Volcanic Island.
And this is one of the cool things about these decks, is that when they have the Goblin Welder going, they can actually Intuition for 3 different cards and have access to all of them.
Yeah.
Because they get to have one immediately, but then the other 2 are available to them to weld into play when time is right.
Exactly.
So here, does he get Painter, Servant, Grindstone, and Ensnaring Bridge?
I thought it was Painter. It looks like Painter.
Painter, Bridge.
Okay.
Which is kind of exciting. He gets the bridge in there to make sure he doesn't randomly die to a Progenitus.
Yeah. Since now he knows that's very likely what he's up against Natural Order here.
Yeah, I mean, once the person plays a tropical island. Well, no, if they just play a basic forest in a Green Sun Zenith.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
It's possible they're just playing some elf combo deck. But so, Conor gets the bridge, and both Painters go to the graveyard. This is a pretty good indicator that Conor already has access to a Grindstone.
Yeah, I believe that was...
Now, it looks like Napper is actually way behind in Game 1. He doesn't really have very much interaction for the combo, and what interaction he does have is trumped by Goblin Welder. Now, he has Lightning Bolt for the Welder, but he would definitely use it if he had it.
Absolutely, yeah. And there is a second Green Sun Zenith 4-1 from Josh Napper.
I think this is going to be pretty brutal. However, fortunately, Napper does have a few options to upgrade his stuff after sideboarding. He has Pyroblast to try to help... Pyroblast and Red Elemental Blast to be able to try to help win these fights. But then he has Ancient Grudge as a trump card to really break up the combo, which I think is quite strong. Additionally, he has access to Jace the Mind Sculptor, so he can play a little bit more controlling of the game. However, that's not much of an advantage considering he really should have it main deck, because this is Legacy.
But he does resolve that Green Sun Zenith for 0 to get a Dryad Arbor this time. Interestingly, Conor does have the Mental Misstep in hand, so he chose not to misstep the Zenith that time. Maybe he's holding it for something like Bolt on the Welder.
So are we seeing Mox? Is that Mox Opal? So I think Conor is dropping a Mox Opal with Ancient Tomb, Volcanic Island, and Welder. He's going to be a mana short of being able to drop the Grindstone and actually do it this turn. But he's not under a huge amount of pressure. It may be that he actually just wanted to save the misstep to make sure he could misstep any potential misstep by Napper if Napper tries to misstep Conor's Grindstone.
That seems like even a stronger play than just holding it for Bolt.
Now, interestingly, Brown has access to a Magus of the Moon, Blood Moon transformational sideboard.
Yeah.
As well as more bridge action, but he has access to the Magus of the Moon, Blood Moon sideboard, which he might think the Napper struggles with. However, Napper does have access to both one forest and one island, so he's got a little bit of way to fight it, you know, but not a ton. He does have Noble Hierarch too, though, so it's not too bad. So Napper on a 1-turn clock with basically very little possible way to get out of this. Yet another scenario where having a little bit of graveyard hate would be kind of sweet.
Yep, just another example of how little graveyard hate there really is around here. I mean, he's got Crypt.
I wouldn't be surprised if Napper actually tilts a little on boards in Relic of Progenitus, which I'm not sure is actually right against these decks. But sometimes when you lose to Welder, you're traumatized by it.
So Tarmogoyf from Napper, and passes back.
Do we have so Napper has what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Napper only has about 40 cards left in his library, 47 cards left in his library. Is that right? About 47? I think he's about to run out.
Maybe. He may be. So Welder gets a Painter into play. It's very likely that 47 is not enough.
Conor untaps, going through the motions. Napper knows he's beat. Wants to see if Brown will leak any more information, or perhaps is hesitant and waits and gives Napper one more turn to try to draw a bolt. I'm betting that Conor uses his upkeep, Napper's upkeep, although he might not want to waste any time at all.
So there's
Napper considering the implications. He's going to brainstorm looking for that lightning bolt. Conor missteps right here. It's over. He does, and it is.
Game two.
Is he actually going to start flipping? How does he think this works? You just showed him you have lightning bolt. Does he think Progenitus will save him?
Does it? Wait.
It doesn't save him. It's a Progenitus. It's not an Emrakul. I mean, it doesn't mean he dies immediately. He dies next turn.
Doesn't he just keep...
This isn't going to help.
Okay, wait. It says if he would be put into the graveyard from anywhere, reveal Progenitus and shuffle it into its owner's library instead, so... It's not like it shuffles the graveyard.
No, it's not going to keep... It's going to... I mean, the grindstone keeps going.
Right.
This doesn't...
Oh.
This doesn't stop anything. I mean, maybe he ends up with one Progenitus in his...
The trigger will go instead after the whole library.
Right, so he'll end up with a library that has exactly
Just
one
Progenitus.
Progenitus.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he gets to die one turn later and have an extra 90 seconds less to... to try to win, but
Maybe he's got Hilden's game.
no. We have his list right here. He doesn't have Helm's Game. I can confirm. He doesn't have 7 cards in his hand, so it's not like he can discard Progenitus every turn to try to get out of this. And he doesn't have any...
I'm pretty sure we're, yeah, I think they're getting a judge clarification here, just to confirm how that works. But that's makes sense to me. Should leave only Progenitus there because the trigger goes on the stack, right?
God, Legacy is so
Or
cool.
is it? Let's see. If it would be put into a graveyard reveal, yeah, it's a replacement effect or a trigger.
Does it say instead?
Yeah, it's instead. Works is a funny way to say it, though.
Yeah,
like,
is it a replacement effect or a trigger?
It's a replacement effect.
Yeah,
right, it
so it's
works.
a replacement.
But the question is, what do you think it works at doing? Like,
Well,
it doesn't...
The ability still won't.
Yeah, we're not questioning that the ability is going to do something.
Yeah.
We're just talking about whether or not that in any way gives him any hope of doing anything besides losing in one turn. After leaking all of the information about the contents of his library and losing 90 seconds before making a judge call.
Yeah, so like basically what it looks like, at least I'm pretty sure since it's a replacement effect, he shuffles now. Like he shuffles the Progenitus into what's remaining in his library, and then the grindstone continues, right? Because
This doesn't stop.
Right, the grindstone continues until he reveals Progenitus again, at which point he shuffles it back into the other 7 cards that are left in his library, and every time he reveals Progenitus, it just ends up with just Progenitus there by itself.
So you're saying it always ends the same?
Yes.
It only ends once. Everything else is just progress.
See you in another life.
Oh, Efro, if you're watching at home, dude, I miss the good old days.
He tweeted,
Did he?
Yeah, that he loved watching you on SCG
Dude,
Live,
the
so.
good old days, man. Miss you, Efro. We got to find somebody to put together the 24-hour Lost Network and bring that stuff back.
Yeah,
You guys would get in on the 24-hour Lost Network, right?
I would love to watch Lost.
Like, if we're going to have socialism in this country and this world, at least use the resources to pay for the 24-hour Lost Network instead of the rinky-dink wars that we're fighting right now.
So
All right, so Napper eventually packs it in. Sees the writing on the wall, realizes...
or the judge explained to him what the writing on the wall said.
decides to not reveal the other half of his library.
Yeah.
I do think it was a mistake, though. I mean, obviously, you don't want your opponent to know you have Lightning Bolt. That's not a card everybody has.
Yeah.
Is there one version of this or two?
Just one.
How many does he have any extras in the second one?
No.
Okay, good. If there's 2 of them, it's a lot.
Yeah, if there's 2, things get hairy.
It's an infinite loop. Is it just keeps replacing?
Yeah, if there's 2 Progenitus...
It can't stop.
Right.
Eventually, it
Can't stop
filters out the
until-
library slowly until there's only 2 left, and then we don't ever get to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. We sit here in the middle of round 7 for the rest of our
Dude,
lives.
I want to board a second Progenitus in just to wipe smiles off of faces of judges. For those of you just tuning in.
We wouldn't want. We would just say, okay, game's draw, do it again.
Yeah, game 1 would be a draw, and then go to game 2. People, you could board in another Progenitus, or you could just board in an Eldrazi. Seems like a better answer. I mean, what did the Painted Grindstone lists do?
Show and tell.
Okay.
This one doesn't. What does he do against somebody with the Emrakul?
Yeah.
He has 2 Torment scripts.
Okay. Seems like the only answer, yeah.
No, I mean that's a answer. I don't know how good one an answer
No,
is.
no, he needs
A lot of these
yeah.
people, their sideboard plan against Emrakul is to sideboard and show and tell, which I realize if you walk that through in your head, you think your opponent has an Emrakul, so you sideboard and show and tell.
Seems
A
like
little
bad
bit
idea.
wild and loose, but I mean this is Legacy. Anything's fair. Except World Gorger Dragon, right? Like World Gorger Dragon is still actually not legal. Right? Is that right?
What?
Correct.
It's not legal in Legacy?
Yeah, I thought like Legacy, the
remember what
world
that
where you
does.
can play any card you want except World Gorge or Dragon.
I don't even remember what that does.
Dude, it doesn't even do anything. It's a 7/7 flyer, and when it comes into play, some triggers happen. It's not even that big of a deal. Some other triggers happen when it leaves. It's one of the best Nightmare Dragons in Magic, though.
Yeah, it probably is one of the best Nightmare Dragons.
I think it's probably better than Mutavault.
It's bigger than Mutavault.
I think it's better than Mutavault,
It's
man.
got flying.
Like, Mutavault's a great card, but dude, World Gorge Dragon. Like, when you have World Gorge Dragon. Yes. No, it's way better than that. Mistborn Ultimus is barely more than a 3/3 for 4.
See, World Gorge Dragon doesn't die to smother. Can't get hit with Threads of Disloyalty.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously,
Bigger, flying,
it's a
trample.
7/7 flying trample. I mean, it can compete with Lord of the Pit, sure, but that's not why you play with it. You play with it because, like, you can set up these loops where you get to use abilities over and over and over again, you know? Like, with Bazaar at Baghdad, because what happens is if you have an Animate Dead, you Animate Dead your World Gorge Dragon, it comes into play, and when it comes into play, it makes sure other cards leave, and since it makes the Animate Dead leave, and the Dragon dies. And since the Dragon dies, all the other cards come back, and since all your other cards come back, and it equals Animate Dead, which brings it back.
Right.
So it creates a loop that you can control. It's a bounded loop that you can make it stop, but you get to have any effect you want repeat over and over and over again. So like if you have a Bazaar Baghdad, you can tap it each time, mill yourself as much as you want, and as we've seen, milling yourself equals winning. Additionally, you can leave other things like Eternal Witness or whatever else. Most of the time, though, I think people just like to have nightmares and play and, you know, be down with it.
Or dragons.
Yeah.
Nightmares. Dragons. Nightmare Dragons. World Gorge Dragons.
Dude, why is that card banned? How in the world is World Gorge Dragon, like, any better than Protean Hulk? Or, I mean, I guess because you can go Entomb and Animate Dead, so it's sort of like, but I mean, that's just like breakfast. I don't know. Alright. Yes, we know, you board and graveyard hate, you Tormod's Cryptum, and you hit their Emrakul. I know. What gets me, though, is that there's only 2 Tormod's Crypts when you have an Intuition deck. You have 4 Intuitions and just the 2 Tormod's Crypts, but I suppose you do have Welders, so it's not like it's that big of a deal.
I wonder if we can move the barrier. Yeah.
Dude, the sun keeps moving on us. Let me apologize for you guys. Dude, sun goes up, sun goes down. Can't explain that.
Yeah, I don't know, moving. Yeah, it doesn't seem like we can get any closer or better. So. No luck there. I'm just gonna have to duck and
So it's interesting. Napper is going to actually take sort of an aggro control role. He's going to try to put a clock down. He's going to try to put a clock down on Brown. And then use his Dazes, Mental Missteps, Force of Wills, Lightning Bolts, Ancient Grudges, Red Elemental Blast, Pyroblasts, etc. And to put, you know, and Vendilion Clicks even, to provide as much disruption as he possibly can so that whatever, you know, if he gets out an early Tarmogoyf, he can just clock him with it.
Yeah.
This is actually going to be one scenario where Green Sun Zenith to go find a Tarmogoyf is going to be really crucial because he needs to put a fast clock down.
How many Green Sun Zenith does he have? 4?
He has 3 Green Sun Zenith
3
and
4 Goyf. Okay.
4 Goyf, and he does have access to 4 Natural Order and Progenitus, which can close out the game really, really fast anyway. But the downside to that is that the Ensnaring Bridge
Right, just stops that cold.
stops it cold. Now, he does have a natural built-in defense against Ensnaring Bridge. He has all these Noble Hierarchs, which can start out attack with 0 power against Ensnaring Bridge, and then gain all their Exalted triggers to actually deal damage. Plus, he has a Lava Mancer, which can shoot over it. Either way, definitely a lot of interaction, a lot of good cards he can play, a lot of things he can do. It's just tough.
He boards out Natural Order Progenitus to make room for some of the more.
That's an interesting idea. He might do that because, I mean, he might think that's just kind of slow. I don't know. It's tough because it's definitely the most powerful aspect of his deck, so it's tough to want to board it out. But he might just want to slip down an early Tarmogoyf and try to ride it to victory.
Yeah, I mean, he might want to just. It seems like.
The thing is, the bridge beats the Tarmogoyf anyway, though. Like, he kind of just has to. He kind of has to keep bridge off the table for the most part anyway. The thing that's tough is that he doesn't have access to anything to go Green Sun Zenith for or Natural Order for that can actually deal with a bridge. You know, some people have access to a Terastodon or something like that. He doesn't have anything like that, unfortunately. Not even a Kasali Pride Mage. I mean, no white, obviously.
So, Josh leads with a fetch land into a tropical island into a Noble Hierarch. You know, every time I see Tropical Island, I think of Lost.
Me too, but for a different reason. I'm just always thinking of Lost. God, Tropical Island's so beautiful. Josh Napper, just for those of you that don't have visual, that are just listening, he has beautiful, pristine beta tropical islands.
Yeah.
Big hearts right here.
And adds a beautiful black-bordered volcanic island to the board and plays a Tarmogoyf, which resolves, and the Noble Hierarch gets in, pokes Conor Brown with that staff.
Yep, so this is really what Josh wants to do. He wants to put down an early clock. It'd really help if he cast some Ponder Brainstorm type action and try to get this Tarmogoyf to a slightly more respectable body.
It's a Squire Goyf.
Yeah, this is really what he wants to do, because starting on turn 3, he really isn't going to be able to, you know, he's not going to be safe. You know, things are going to start getting crazy. Intuition on the end step to help set things up, and then just a 2-card combo. Takes 6 mana, but 2-card combo that wins the game.
So he hits him for 2 more with the Goyf, due to the Exalted trigger. Passes back to Conor. Conor just has a Seed of the Synod, a Volcanic Island, and a Mox Opal in play right now. To Napper's Tarmogoyf, Noble Hierarch, Misty Rainforest, Tropical Island, and Volcanic Island. And Conor adds an Ancient Tomb to the board. Having access to 5 mana right here. Actually, no, I'm sorry.
Well, it will be 5 if he plays anything. If he plays a
yeah.
Painter Servant or a Grindstone. But it looks like his hand is mostly counterspells. He's sitting on a lot of Red Blast and other counterspells.
Which is interesting considering he wasn't able to counter those threats. So is that an Intuition?
It is.
Intuition off of the Seed of the Synod and Ancient Tomb, so knocking Conor even a little lower.
Now, this is on his main phase.
It is.
It's kind of strange that he does this on his main phase.
He did it last game, I think, on his main phase too. I think it confused me then.
It's weird because I mean, if he's going to cast whatever he's going to cast, great. You know, if he's really intuitioning for a welder or something. But if he's just trying to intuition for pieces of the combo, why make the Tarmogoyf bigger, and why fight on your own turn instead of on your opponent's turn? Like, even on his upkeep if you don't draw another card. He goes to go get bridges, but he doesn't have mana for them. Oh, he gets the mixture. Is that a Painter Servant, a Grindstone, and a bridge? It's really interesting.
I think that's what it is.
He gets the full mix, but he hasn't shown welder.
For those of you just joining us, I'm Joey Pasco here in the booth with Patrick Chapin, and we're watching round 7 of 7 here in Denver for the Star City Games Open Series. This is the Legacy portion on Sunday. You know, always on Sundays, covering Legacy. So we
Conor Brown and Josh Napper are playing for top 8, right?
Yeah.
So
We've already heard that Tom Ma has made top 8. Nick Spagnolo also top 8. AJ Soccer also likely top 8 from what I understand. So three big names there on the Star City Open Series.
So he gets the Ensnaring Bridge and ships the turn. The weird thing is that now Tarmogoyf is freaking huge.
Yeah, but we got Artifact, Creature, Instant.
We just added Artifact, Creature, and Instant.
Yeah, so it's a 4,
Now it's a
5.
3-turn clock instead of a 7-turn clock. Or an 8-turn clock.
Is the feed okay? Because we just got somebody complaining on Twitter that the feed went down. But
Yeah, do it confirmation?
Feed's still up.
feed's good? Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's probably their computer.
Just checking, so. Vendilion Click.
Eating a Red Blast.
Yeah. It's a big fireball for those 3 fairies to have to deal with.
Josh leaving a red open, threatening Lightning Bolt instead of getting in for 1 extra point of damage. Oh, I guess it doesn't matter. Noble Hierarch. But leaving a red open, and it looks like he does actually have the Lightning Bolt. He has some red card in his hand. Now the annoying thing, it's weird, he gave the bridge to Conor.
Mm-hmm.
So
Why?
yeah, what? That's a 1-card combo in this case. You know, like it stops his offense entirely. Sticks. Now we can't see Napper's full hand, but it didn't look like he had Ancient Grudge. Maybe that's the red card in his hand.
So there is a Ensnaring Bridge. And what is that?
Is it grindstone?
Doesn't look like it, but it definitely costs 1. Is it top?
It is top.
Okay. So he plays a Sensei's Divining Top, following the Ensnaring Bridge he dropped. So
We move to Napper's turn. Tarmogoyf, Noble Hierarch, Tropical Island, Volcanic, and a Dryad Arbor. Variety of cards in hand. Looks like a nice mix of spells. We'll have to see what he has. He gave Conor the Ensnaring Bridge, so he must clearly have a plan against it. But it could just be that he's planning on powering through with these Exalted triggers.
yeah, Arbor
And he just
for
wants
2.
to avoid the
yeah.
combo.
Right. That's what I'm thinking. It looks like he's going in for 2 with the Arbor. So knocking Conor to 6 now, I think. Just life total check real quick.
I'm kind of surprised that Conor wanted to take that 3 extra points of damage early. That just seems so surprising to me. From casting Intuition early. But I guess he just really wanted to make sure he won the counterspell fight. Alright, Conor, debating his different options. That's the thing about topping, is that once you start topping, you kind of end up sometimes getting addicted to the topic. You have to keep doing it.
Yeah.
You have to keep sinking more and more mana into it, because you can't just, I mean, once you know you have duds on top, you have to keep digging the new cards below.
Right.
It's kind of nice that top has gotten to, that Legacy has gotten to a point where top isn't dominating the format anymore. It's merely a good card, you know? And maybe that's one of the hidden upsides of Mental Misstep. But it seemed like that had already been happening in Legacy before Mental Misstep. Because top, it's a cool card, and it's fun to do, but sometimes if everybody's just topping all the time, it gets obnoxious and slows things down way too much.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons. Didn't it get banned from Extended?
From Modern? Or, yeah, from Modern. Or, yeah, banned from Extended eventually.
Yeah, but when it wasn't Extended.
Well, no, I think they
Okay,
mostly,
Extended.
they said that, but it was also mostly just the counterbalance combo.
Okay.
The counterbalance combo was really oppressive.
Okay.
But it also was how much it slowed down tournaments.
So, a City of Traders. Can we get the players to not play cards on the tape?
Yeah.
I mean, it's there for a reason.
I miss Next Level Blue. Next Level Blue was like the previous era Callblade, except not nearly as skill testing. Alright, so Napper, fetching again. A lot of fetching back and forth. Mostly just thinning his library at this point and getting enough land to be able to prepare for the battle to come. I mean, he's got Conor on kind of a short clock. At this point, obviously, if he ever draws a bridge, then I mean not a bridge, a grudge, he can end the game immediately. But as it stands, he's got Conor on a 3-turn clock.
So is there a grindstone? Yeah. There's a grindstone on the table.
He needs to find that Painter Servant. The thing is, now that he has the grindstone, he can grind himself to get fresh looks from the top.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, it's one of the upsides of the grindstone backup plan. So Dryad Arbor gets in there, knocks Conor to 3, and importantly, puts Conor in a real tough spot because he can't tap Ancient Tomb anymore.
Yeah.
You know, he can one more time, but then the game is threatening to be over immediately.
Right, he needs to, if he's going to use it, it has to be
It has to be for the win.
on his end game, yeah. So it looks like a Ponder from Napper. Getting Red Blast.
Exactly. It's interesting that he actually has Red Blast
so he lightning bolts.
for the win. Oh no, it's not for the win, it just puts him at 2.
Wait, he
Oh, no,
should be...
the Dryad Arbor's attacking, though. He should be at 3.
Yeah, he should be at 3 right now.
I guess he hasn't actually taken the damage from the Dryad Arbor yet.
No,
He has,
He has?
apparently. Okay.
So now he's got to figure out how can he get out of this. Because, like, what he can do, he has to try to top, activate the top, and find Mental Misstep.
And then, yeah, put the top. Yeah, that's basically his only out. So he's going to top. Don't see it.
Yeah, he's going to have to pack it in.
Yeah, go to game 3.
Napper pulls it off with the Lightning Bolt.
Definitely.
It's really interesting that he plays only 1 Pyroblast. So between deck and sideboard, he has 2 Pyroblasts. He has 2 Pyroblasts and 4 Red Elemental Blasts. And presumably the reason you play with Red Elemental Blast instead of Pyroblasts is because of people's spell skites, if you think they actually have it. But it seems far more likely that he'll actually be in the scenario where he has an Ensnaring Bridge and wants to just try to get it out.
No.
I scooped Spagnolo.
Oh, okay. So AJ did scoop Spagnolo in. We heard Spagnolo was in, but we weren't sure about AJ.
AJ, sticking it to the man, bucking the system in protest, civil disobedience to protest the lack of buys at this event.
When's episode 2 of AJ TV slotted?
Oh, come on.
Yeah, come on in. Actually, I'm gonna take a quick
Oh, please
run to
do.
the bathroom, but I kind of want to hear AJ's answer about AJ TV. So. I'll be squeezed by it.
All right. Well, we wait for Conor and Napper to shuffle up for game 3. I'm joined in the. This is Patrick Chapin for SCG Live in Denver, and I'm joined by AJ Soccer.
Hi.
So, AJ, tell us about your day.
Well, I was 5-0 in matches played, and conceded to Tom Ma and Nicholas Spagnola to help them level up. I played the blue-white Stoneforge standstill deck.
Actual Stoneblade.
Yeah, and it's fairly unbeatable. The deck is just unreal.
You think it's the best deck?
Yeah, for sure.
Interesting. We've been talking about a lot lately if Stoneforge Mystic is the best creature in Magic. Like the only, if you only count, if you set aside the combo creatures like Narcomoeba, Golgari, Grave Troll, and Hermit Druid and so on, the candidates that come up in discussion a lot are Dark Confidant and Tarmogoyf.
Tarmogoyf's not even in the same league as Dark Confidant. Or
Nowadays, I
Stoneforge.
think Tarmogoyf's probably a distant third if those three are the only choices.
Right. But yeah, I mean, it's probably between Dark Confidant and Stoneforge. Yeah, like as long as you're not
We're not counting the combo creatures.
like
Goblin
Emrakul.
Emrakul, Goblin Recruiter, Hermit Druid, Narcomoeba, Golgari Grave Troll. You know. If you set aside the combo creatures,
What's the goblin that finds all goblins?
Goblin Recruiter. Yeah, I mentioned that one.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, Goblin Recruiter for sure. Yeah, if you set aside the combo creatures, then
Yeah, it's Stoneforge and Dark Confidant.
Stoneforge Mystic is so good.
Yeah, it's insane.
What do you think? Do you think? I mean, I don't know. I assume you don't play that much Vintage, but do you think
Not
he
anymore.
Do you think he could break in? Because okay, right now in Vintage, a lot of people are playing cards like Juggernaut, Lodestone Golem, and so on.
Well, I mean, like the way that you used to beat stacks was with Dark Confidants. So if Stoneforge is the new Dark Confidant, then maybe that's what we should be doing.
I have trouble imagining what deck you would actually do this in, but Skull Clamp is a card that's legal in Legacy or in Vintage.
Yeah.
That's an equipment that you might want to go get. All right, so we're watching on the left. We have Conor Brown playing a Painter Servant Grindstone deck. He's going to be on the play this game. He's got quite a bit of blast, as you might expect.
Yeah.
But his main thing is he's using Ensnaring Bridge to try to buy himself enough time. And then Josh Napper is playing a Rug Natural Order deck. And the interesting cards to note are he's got Ancient Grudge and then just a ton of disruption. He's got Vendilion Click, Pyroblasts. He's got Ancient Grudge, Daze, Mental Misstep, Force of Will, Lightning Bolt.
Wow.
Just tons and tons of interaction. Yep. And so we saw, we said before game one that he needed to put out a Tarmogoyf, put a quick clock on him, and then just protect it with all the disruption.
Yeah.
Which is what he did for game 2.
Yeah, that's definitely the way you play this matchup. Did we see how he boarded? I would even consider boarding out the Natural Order package entirely.
Yeah, we were talking about that. We didn't see Natural Order from him in game 2, and he has enough cards to board in.
Yeah, for sure.
That is very conceivable he might want to do that.
Yeah, when I used to play the Natural Order deck, that's what I would do in matchups like these.
So Conor leads with a Great Furnace and a Goblin Welder, drawing a Mental Misstep, but Conor has a Mental Misstep of his own.
The Mental Misstep battles have become a regular occurrence.
Absolutely.
In this format.
What do you think? Has Mental Misstep had a healthy impact on Legacy?
It's hard to not be biased because I love it so much.
You love it so much? Absolutely. But I mean, you like winning with Callblade too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But you know that's not healthy.
True. That's true.
It's definitely very powerful.
Yeah.
And everybody, like all the people who said that Mental Misstep was going to define the format and be one of the absolute best cards in the tier of Brainstorm and Force of Will, have clearly been vindicated.
Yes.
I mean, they are. There's no question that Mental Misstep is one of the absolute upper echelon cards of the format.
Yeah. Remember the first weekend it came out and people were playing 3? That was a funny time.
So Napper responds, he leads back with a Grim Lavamancer to
There's
try to
one
fight.
Grim Lavamancer, right?
Yep, the Miser's Grim Lavamancer, giving him a 1-turn vulnerability to Welder. Conor, on his turn, drops a Volcanic Island and a Mox Opal, and then drops a Grindstone. It looks like, oh wow, he has the Painter Servant and the Grindstone. So even though Napper has the Grim Lavamancer, he's now on a 1-turn clock. If Conor just untaps, it's over. Oh, that's the look of a man who needs to draw Lightning Bolt right now. Or Ancient Grudge, but... Is that actual Lightning Bolt?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
It looks like it is.
It looks like a...
Wow. He arranges his mountain in the form of the one spell. Now he's actually got to be careful, because he finally drew his out, so he wants to make sure he does this right.
Right.
Oh, you know what? What if he has no land in his hand, and he's imagining, do I Brainstorm or Ponder first? Am I the greediest ever if I do? The problem is, how can he advance here?
Yeah.
Because if he bolts the Painter Servant, if he doesn't have another land to be able to activate the
The
Grim Lava
welder,
Mancer.
yeah, the welder just kills him.
Right. So if Napper just has a fetch land in hand, he's golden.
Right.
But I think he would do it really fast if he did.
Yeah, he's
This is a man-
formulating a game plan. Something. The obvious line is not what is available to him.
So now what he can do is dig for a second land, Brainstorm or Ponder into a second land, hold up the red mana, and then try to respond to the combo if he goes for it, but most likely Conor won't, and then on his next turn he could threaten to do two different things.
Well, he can't even, right? He just activates the grindstone, and like in response you have to kill the painter, and then he welds it still in response to the grindstone.
Yeah, if you don't kill both. Yeah, I don't... So I guess he could... Yeah, there's no way he's going to be able to
do
use...
two things
He
this
can't...
turn.
He's not going to be able to net any mana with Daze somehow, right? Or what if he bolts, Mental Missteps his own bolt, dazes his Mental Misstep to get the second red? God, if he has that, that would be beautiful.
That would be a beautiful line.
That would be a beautiful line if he actually has that. So
Like
as
dazing your own brainstorm to get to like counter a wasteland. This is like the most advanced version of that possible.
So Napper is sitting in play with just a Volcanic Island and a Grim Lava Mancer. He's got cantrips in hand, which he was probably counting on to fix his mana. Unfortunately, he's looking at a turn 2 lethal board of both the Painter Servant and the Grindstone with the Welder as a backup
Yeah,
plan.
lethal and resilient.
So now what he can do is if he brainstorms into a Scalding Tarn and a Daze and a Mental Misstep.
Yeah, that's what it needs to be, because he didn't have a misstep, or he would have counted the welder to
Oh, but
start.
it doesn't matter, because he has to play his land. He can't play 2 land in 1 turn.
Oh, right.
He's
Yeah.
probably already dead.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think he's drawn dead now. You needed to do 2 things, and he didn't have the extra mana.
Well, I mean, at some point his play becomes hope that Conor waits a turn
Right.
and is scared and doesn't remember how Galvan Welder works properly, or so.
Well, in order to pull that off, you kind of need to be confident in the way you play it. So he has the bolt for the painter.
Looks like, oh, that's that confidence you're
Yeah.
talking about. You like that.
Exactly. That's how you need to do it. I mean, I think
He's acting like he just top decked the bolt, like, look, you're dead. I
Yep.
have the bolt. Boom.
Yep. Like, if you sit there and think and panic and all that,
That's a slightly overconfident
yeah.
Grim Lava Mancer swing.
Yeah, he's
I
trying,
think
he's trying to Hollywood it a little too hard.
Yeah, I think you got to be careful. You don't want to over... like, you're on a very, very fine line right here. All right. Conor untaps like a man who knows what Goblin Welder does.
See, right there, I would just kill him on my upkeep. Don't draw a card.
Send a message?
Yeah, you show him.
Oh no, he's tapping his Mox Opal. He
That's
knows.
not a good sign
he
for
knows.
Josh.
Maybe he's going to cast Painter Servant. Oh no. This doesn't end well for the Rug player.
No, certainly not.
God,
There
he
it
needed a
is.
second land. In this game, Conor pulls it off. Well played, well orchestrated. Just executed his strategy. That's what he's supposed to do. So far we've seen a variety of interesting decks. Plus we've seen some Merfolk decks.
Not so interesting.
So far we've seen a fair bit actually of Hive Mind Show and Tell.
Yeah,
How much do you think that deck is the real deal? Because
it's
I mean,
the real deal.
yeah.
Yeah, it's real good. I mean, the problem with it is that if people start playing Power Blasts again, then it instantly becomes not the real deal.
Like it's pretty bad against these Painter Servant decks with like 7 red blasts.
Exactly. And like the blue-red deck that I won Charlotte with, or the blue-white-red deck that I played last week in Indy, like, you know, if they have 4-ish blasts, then it's really hard to fight through. Because like Emrakul, like, against all of those decks, Emrakul doesn't cut it. You need to hive mind them. And
Yeah, I guess actually the Painter Servant deck, which does have 6 or 7 red blasts, usually wins with Emrakul. Or not Emrakul, Painter Servant Grindstone. So
Right.
you're not actually. That's a weird sort of match.
yeah.
Neither of you get to have your fun. But
You're like attacking with your Painter Servant, just beating them down with 1/1s.
yeah, so you're saying it's the real deal though. Hive Mind's really the best kill.
I mean, it's strong. I don't know if it's necessarily the best option, but the iterations of the deck that I've seen are so good and so resilient, so consistent that like you need to be, if you're coming to one of these events, you need to be prepared for it.
So let me ask you something. Why do they use Hive Mind in a whole bunch of packs when they could use Dream Holes in a bunch of like Confluxes? Dream Holes only cost 5 instead of Hive Mind, which costs 6.
Well, Pact But it's colorless lands, so you can cast it off of a double land and Grim Monolith and one
Oh,
land.
so you're saying because you just go turn 1 Ancient Tomb, Grim Monolith, turn 2
Kill you.
Island, kill you.
Yeah, and
That's
also,
pretty good.
Also, Pact of Negation is a combo and protection,
Mm-hmm.
whereas Conflux can only combo.
Right. Well, you get a Cruel Ultimatum if you want. That's usually the mix.
Right.
Cruel Ultimatum is control.
Right. Did you hear about Luis getting crueled and winning at the GP? Got like show and tells, and Luis has a Jason hand. He's like, man, if he plays Emrakul, no, like I have to counter it. And then the dude hard casts Dream Halls and like